on the pre-show. I don't
know. And that is what we go live on.
That is how we start.
That's how we do it live, y'all. That's how we do it.
Welcome, guys, to
I don't know what's going on.
Of episode 2 of the weekly. Forgive us. Most of us don't have our lower thirds up, but thank you for joining us. If you're joining us, also on our podcast, we do have it available now on iTunes as well as Google Play. So go ahead and subscribe so you can catch up. This is going to be a fun week. Nothing too crazy. I don't think we have a uselessness for this week unless somebody has a
boring.
No,
let's just, I mean, last week's was kind of like a downer. I think we should just try and get into talking about current news and stuff.
Okay, all right. Since there's no negativity, let's
boring.
Wow. All right, Samsung announced sent out invites for its Unpacked event, and it's going to be in Barcelona as we expected. But they also sent out the invite had the camera reimagined, number 9. So Samsung is taking that whole camera beatdown that the Pixel gave them last year really seriously. What do you guys think?
Well, was it a beatdown? Was it a beatdown?
Yeah,
it wasn't a beatdown.
You can't. Okay, yeah, a camera that's fighting against a camera that can talk back to 1 billion servers to reimagine your photo over again. That's a fair fight.
I just think there are still plenty of reasons why someone would pick the Galaxy S8 camera over the Pixel.
No. Okay, yeah, maybe the beatdown was a little bit excessive, more like a schoolyard beating.
That's not even bad.
Even then,
I just wanted to see what you guys would say.
Because even then, I like, because the only reason, cause anyone who's watching this show right now, if you had the Galaxy S8 and you were thinking, oh, I wish I had some of that really great auto mode that's on the Pixel. What's on the Pixel? I mean, all you need to do is load an APK. And then you have superior microphones, way better audio. You've got like a great setup for low light photography. I think the lens is probably comparable. And then you can flip back and have some of the best manual modes that are available on a phone. Raw capture, you don't have to go hunting for another app. I'm just saying there are reasons why the S8 is still a fine option opposite the Pixel.
And then you got to remember the Pixel, it isn't the Pixel's camera itself, it's the fact it talks back. It talks back, they're able to get data to go, we'll make your photo just a little bit sharper, a little bit clearer, a little bit better, because we can go back and see thousands of photos from probably Google Photos and other means that they're gating and saying, well,
it's all computational.
It's computational. I mean, they took the software and said, instead of doing it on the phone, let's have it talk back and do it on our servers. And they just found a good way to do that.
And you can do some of that in the Google Photos app too. I'm just saying.
Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff. If you guys back up your photos to Google Photos, a lot of that stuff will get automated for you.
I mean, yeah, I agree. Fat Produce says, "Greetings, fellow nerds." Thank you, Fat Produce.
Live long and prosper, Fat Produce.
No, I mean, I'm not disagreeing at all. It's just that Samsung has come out and talked about the camera quite effectively with their invite. But also what's interesting is this rumors that other companies are not announcing anything at MWC. We've heard rumors of the
wonder why.
V30, the V30 AI. So basically just a slight update. HTC-U12 is not launching.
There was an 11?
Yes, there was an 11. The true.
And also,
you sure about that?
We all know that U12 is a terrible name for a phone, right? Like why is HTC trying to make their phone sound like overweight, cumbersome submarines? Like, why is that a thing?
You can't call a U12 without U11. Roll safe.
Wasn't there U11 last year?
Yeah, they had like 2 U11s last year.
They had the fresh U11.
Did HTC have a phone?
Yeah, they did.
It's right there. I've got it in my bookcase.
And you're the only one.
I know what you're trying to do, Warren, but I'm going to play this straight. So if you've got a joke, you better get to it, man, because I'm going to go and get my U11 right
The
here.
joke was already said when somebody said U11 and U12. The joke was already done from there. There was nothing for me to add.
I feel like we disagree on the basic structures and tenets of comedy.
Now, and for those of you who are not watching this, you should see Sam's face. He's a little lost in this conversation.
Oh no, I'm just reading the articles that we need to talk about. Instead of talking about the basic syntax of
He
comedy.
didn't read
All right,
the
Sam.
show sheet before
Sam's the only one to take notes. Then read your notes. Let's go, Sam.
Sam says instead of talking about the basic syntax
Okay,
of comedy.
hold on.
All right, so we will start off first with the Qualcomm EU.
We wrote a book report.
I feel like we've
5,000
lost track
words.
of what we were talking about. I think we should try and dig into some of the rumors on the Galaxy S9 if they're talking about camera stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good.
So far, all the renders that I've seen make me think that Samsung's going to move more like an Apple, where the smaller Samsung is going to get one camera sensor, the larger one's going to move up to two. And then we've been hearing a lot of talk about things like a variable aperture, which could be interesting, but I'm also very skeptical as to what significant benefits that's going to bring.
Well, we do know that. I mean, according to the rumors, it's that the variable aperture is on both devices, so you're not missing out. If you get the S9.
Yeah, the second sensor is going to be I'm assuming they're going to stick with the zoom.
Yeah, exactly. The second sensor is the zoom and the blurry background, all that fun jazz. So,
but does that bring up something kind of frustrating for Samsung owners? I don't think Samsung owners are used to there being significant differences in feature set between the big and little Galaxies.
Yeah, no. I mean, Samsung owners are used to just the size difference. It's like, it's too big. I want the smaller phone. I don't need to, which I kind of feel is a slight betrayal of Samsung for Samsung users, because they expect that whenever you get a Galaxy, whether it's it's an S8, S8 Plus, S7, S7 Plus, you're getting the same device. You just decided to pick the smaller device because that fits your form factor liking, as opposed to the Plus. So taking this Apple approach, I don't think it's wise. I think it's something Samsung should have just either stuck with both cameras. But hey, we'll see how it plays out.
I think it's being done because they're looking at the competition and trying to match up best against them for Apple users to maybe make a switch. It's the same reason why there's a Pixel 2 and Pixel 2 XL and the way they sort of market that against the iPhone. It's kind of the same idea. It's like, well, if the regular iPhone 8 has a camera, then the other one has one camera as well too.
Yeah,
it doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense to us, but I think they're looking at the casual user that's coming by and trying to simplify down something to that they can process a little bit easier.
Okay, this is why I consider Apple users dumb. All my
no.
For that exact statement Warren said. He said, simplify.
There it goes.
What is not hard about one is bigger than the other in size, but you get the same features. I'm just using Warren's statement, by the way.
So I'm actually leaning a little closer to Enabong on this one. I don't think iPhone users are dumb. I just think they're entrenched.
iPhone fans.
No. I mean, like, I think I'm splitting hairs between both you and Warren on this. Like, it's an iPhone user is probably annoyed that the smaller phone doesn't have the better camera module. Well, what you gonna do? I don't want the bigger phone. I guess I'll just keep buying Apple. And that tends to me to be the apathy that we currently see in the smartphone space in general. And I bet the same thing's gonna happen with Samsung. It's annoying that I don't get the same camera capabilities on the smaller Galaxy like I've always had since they've introduced two different sizes of Galaxy. But what can I do? I'm not going to go buy an iPhone. I'd have the same problem. Guess I better just keep buying Samsung. That's where we're at with a matured smartphone market. Is like, I can't change teams now. Like, I can't jump on a different horse in this race when it's super frustrating. To Warren's point, I think this is again, I'm totally splitting hairs here. I don't think these companies are looking at this because they think it's going to provide some sort of consumer ease of conversation. I think they're doing it just because they can. Why do you charge $1,000 in the smartphone market? Because the market will bear it to a certain degree. Why do you remove features from one phone? Because you're confident that your users are still going to buy your product, even though they might complain and grumble about you removing, or not removing, but separating your products like that, removing one feature from the phone when the bigger version of the phone also has it. And then you can encourage them to step up to probably the higher profit margin device. So that's what I find really frustrating, is this all feels like it's kind of being banked on apathy. That, what are you going to do? Buy an LG? And then they can walk off and like wipe their tears with their cash.
Well, Sam, anything?
Well, good segue for me there from the LG stuff. I think this is basically just attacking LG. LG is not coming out with a new phone. LG is basically going to be bringing out a newer version of the V30. So now you have a phone that Samsung can basically say for every user out there, every regular user, you have the S9. For the guys who want to be content creators, you have the S9 Plus with the upgraded camera. And for the guys who are productivity hounds, you have the Note. Simple as that. It's a new strategy.
And this is where I desperately wish LG would get after their advertising, because a V30 with a Qualcomm 845 is really all I want. Like, just do that. I'd be perfectly happy for LG to start taking over Apple's old TikTok. You know, every other year, change the form factor, release new other screen stuff, or change the design, but give me an interim year where all you do is catch up to the newest technology with the features that I already like on your phone. That's all dependent, of course, on them improving their software updates, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on to our second topic. Qualcomm was fined by the EU. Qualcomm had a good and bad week. They were fined $1 billion by the EU for paying off Apple. And according to what I'm reading here, it sounds like they had an exclusive agreement with Apple. Or to me, I don't see why the fine is there, but I think this is a fine so they can buy NXP. That's literally it. This is how the EU, they have a deal to buy a company called NXP. It's a semiconductor company. And the EU has been the last stumbling block for that to happen. And I think dropping this fine is almost like saying, pay your dues, and then we'll let you buy them. That's how I see it. I'm just saying that just because of how long this is dragged, and I'm looking at this and saying, if Qualcomm won the deal with Apple to supply, you can write in the contract that it's going to be a lockdown agreement for a certain amount of years. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And we all know Intel has bad chipsets in terms of just competition. So I don't see how this is, unless somebody has a better outlook on this. I just don't get it, why this should be a fine.
Well, I think it's basically getting back at them because of Icera. Icera is basically a fabless semiconductor manufacturer from Europe. It's a British multinational, right?
I mean, they should have at least cut this down to 500,000 since the UK.
So basically, because Qualcomm basically sells its chip below cost. It basically block these guys out of a market. Now, selling below cost is one thing, but selling below cost and then paying your consumer X amount of dollars to prevent them from using other people's chips, that's when you start walking this legal gray area. They can say, no, with added benefit of using the Qualcomm chipset, whatever, but you're already selling them below cost. So it's not a money thing. It's not like they're producing it in a cheaper way. They're just basically saying, we're going to give you this, and you're not going to use NVIDIA, or you're not going to use Intel, or you're not going to use anything else out there except for Qualcomm. And this is where they're getting dinged. They're getting dinged $1.2 billion, which is a drop in the bucket for them. It's about 4% of what they rolled over from last year. So it's not a big deal. I don't think it's going to stop them from doing business. I just think at the end of the day, it's basically just going to make Broadcom, it's going to basically flow into the argument for Broadcom saying, hey, guess what? These guys are having bad relationship with their consumers, which is Apple. These guys are having bad relationships with regulators, which is in the EU right now. Maybe Broadcom should come in and buy this company for what, $65 a share? They're only $2 off right now.
No, they said 65. Qualcomm was said our price is at 150 or something like that a share.
$67 a share right now.
Yeah, it's $67, but to buy the Qualcomm is like, you got to do 150, which they know Broadcom can. They're doing the pricing because, like I said, this is more of an NXP. Alexa, I didn't talk to you.
This is super racist.
This is more of an. I think this is more of an NXP. I mean, mixture of what you mentioned, the company you mentioned, but also NXP is coming up, and it looks like I think it was a week ago. They said the deal is going to go through. They're just waiting to see what happens with this litigation. And I think once this fine dropped, it was like it's basically saying pay your fine and you can go get the company you want, because once you get NXP, they're gonna be pretty big.
Yeah, but Broadcom's actual offer was $70 a share. So right now, the share value for Qualcomm is below what Broadcom was offering by $2 and change. So, just saying.
I know, that's true, but Broadcom as a company does not. Broadcom company is one of the funkiest shell companies as you know it. It's not Broadcom.
I feel like we need to be careful just throwing around.
No, I mean, like, I'll put it this way: somebody else bought Broadcom, changed its name to Broadcom, and you've been buying.
I mean, Broadcom is
yeah. So it's the proper Broadcom itself is not as big enough to buy. It's this funny shell game of buying companies till you buy somebody that makes you a lot of money. That's literally what they're doing.
Yeah.
And Qualcomm is the company to make them a lot of money. Because
Richie, you're saying the EU just wants money. All regulators just want money. That's why the fines are so high, because they just want money. That's another way, apart from taxations, that.
Oh, the EU just cut you off, man.
Well,
speaking of the goods part of the week for Qualcomm signed a $2 billion deal with Lenovo, Xiaomi, Vivo, Oppo, and ZTE. Memorandum of understanding for sales. The companies agreed to work together developing 5G. This for Qualcomm, I think, is huge because this puts them as they've been trying to get that standing as the main 5G provider, or at least standard, so to speak. Intel has come out and talked about 5G quite a bit and said, they have 5G, but they haven't actually showed anything. And then AT&T and some of these other companies have said, do we have 5G? And what they've been pushing is 4G LTE. Let's just call it what it is. It's not really 5G proper. It's just increasing speed. So I think this is much bigger for them. And this is probably a much bigger win that, that 1.2 billion, they're like, whatever, we don't care. We got what we needed for the next 10 years, pretty much, with this deal.
That was a good summation. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Let's move on to the next one.
I don't know, Qualcomm was just sort of like a very quiet story for us to cover in the comments. No one really had anything to say there. It'll be interesting to see how. I mean, it will be interesting to see how that plays out. But again, it's kind of hard to get too worked up or too into a story about the potential of future 5G. There's not really this isn't really building towards, I think, what the agreed upon standard for that's going to be yet. We don't know what the rollout's going to look like for different regions, especially here in the United States, where we're going to have 4 different interpretations of 5G because of the carriers.
The carrier interpretation of 5G is the funniest thing. It's like they have some elements of 5G, so they're like, but they call it. I think AT&T calls it 5G evolution. Not even 5G. Yeah, it's like evolution of 5G. So it's just funny when that happens. But speaking of deals, CBS and Viacom are in merger talks.
More media consolidation. Perfect timing, guys.
Yay!
Less choice in the market. It's always good for the consumer, but not really.
What does Viacom own again? Because I know they own a lot of stuff.
All the half the Comcast doesn't own.
Sam, can't hear you. Sam, still no audio. No audio.
Womp womp womp.
This is
Viacom assets: Paramount Pictures, Paramount Animation, Comedy Central, MTV, Nickelodeon, BET. CMT, all of the different MTVs. Yeah, I already know that. All the different Nickelodeons, USA.
They don't own USA.
5 USA. That's something different. Sorry. Yeah. VH1, TV Land. Do they own one of the? Is it Telefe? I think they own one of the major Spanish players too. This Wikipedia is not very well laid out for what they actually own, and then a couple different recording labels. So throwing CBS into the mix is again just like an awesome piece of media consolidation to make sure that at
least there's one benefit though. We will have Star Trek under one roof.
That would be neat. Again, I mean, it's like the one positive of the recent Disney acquisition is like, oh well, I guess the X-Men could show up in the MCU now. Cool. But it makes me crazy cranky when we're getting to a point where it's going to be like 2 major companies that own everything when it comes to traditional entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, well, technically 3.
I think it'll be like the big 3 with some fourth one hanging around.
Yeah, once
that's kind of how everything works. And
we've come all the way back to like the original days of television where you only had like 3 numbers on the dial. It's basically the same thing.
Yeah, but it mean that we'll have 3 major mergers hanging in the balance this year. The Disney one won't go ahead until AT&T and Warner Brothers goes through, and I think Time Warner has to probably get rid of CNN because that's the only way this.
I don't think they would need to. I don't think
they don't need to, but that is what has been hanging in the balance for the last year. Get CNN out, you get your deal.
We'll have to spin off CNN to its own entity.
Yeah, and you can see from the Fox deal. Murdoch already took out. He's like, we're keeping, and Disney doesn't want Fox News.
Yeah, so, because they bought Fox Entertainment, which was already a different company.
Yeah, but there was still, there was still talk about that if Disney was going to, because Fox was they were looking to sell off everything tied to Fox, everything, and Disney was like, no, we don't want that because you know how Disney is. We like to keep it nice and clean, and no controversy of that kind of sort.
They own ESPN. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know that Disney was exclusively the one deciding that they didn't want Fox.
They own
Fox
ABC.
News. Murdoch was looking at all of their news properties and saying
they own ABC, by the way, too. So yeah. They don't want it because they already have that.
Yeah. Plus, I don't think Rupert Murdoch is trying to sell off his media.
That's what I was saying. Is I'm pretty sure Murdoch likes his position in politics, which is all.
Look. Okay, what do you guys know? Okay, none of us know the truth.
I'm just saying we can look at general trends and
you get
come up with a hypothesis.
You all get awards for guessing something. All right.
Guess the news awards. That's our.
In an instant, if CNN could be spun off on its own, I wouldn't be surprised if Rupert Murdoch bought that too and just has both CNN and that, and just having both sides, and just let it just be its thing. Because all he would sit back is cash checks. That's all he'd care about.
Yeah, but just the thought of that is just not.
The battles would be amazing.
What just happened?
Oh my God. I just saw something that brought back some soft memories.
Okay.
This was not a scheduled part of our podcast, but
what's happening here?
No, sorry, it wasn't scheduled. Before I actually end the podcast by mistake, share. I just saw that camera sensor right here.
Oh, you just saw that?
Yeah, and I was like,
the sketches for our future Nokia.
I was like, that's the Lumia 1030. I know it's not, but it's just I just saw that. I was just
it's especially when you see the two camera sensor holes. I got really excited like you, and then I kind of went meh. Like what if they're gonna give me an Oreo disc on the back of a phone again, I want to see a 1020 sensor. I want to see a big ass sensor. And
sorry about that, guys.
Problem, Nokia.
For anyone who's not watching,
that was awkward.
Basically, yes. It was just a sketch for the Nokia 10, and one of the patent sketches looks like a mini version of the Lumia 1020 sensor at the back. It's got a disc, it's got 2 lenses, but it doesn't look as large as the 1020 sensor. So Juan just killed all my hopes and dreams. Thank you, man.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's why you bring me on the show.
Destroyer of dreams. Anyway, let's move to our our last topic, because it's really wasn't too crazy this week. Facebook is taking on Twitch and YouTube as we expected with streaming. They released an ad with some popular streamers and gamers to showcase Facebook gaming. And they've had this for a little bit. You can stream your game. I believe Blizzard was one of the first companies to work with, right?
Yep, we did that a while ago when we.
Yeah, it was about early last year, I think, or something like that. Yeah, you could stream.
It wasn't even last year. I think it was
2016.
Yeah, I think it was 2016.
You could stream onto Facebook. So their platform now allow you to do 1080p 60 frames per second. This is going up against YouTube, Twitch, and Mixer. I just had to mention that one in there.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts, anyone? Just what you guys think?
This is there's a lot of money being made in game streaming right now. You know, it was also a Twitch streamer that donated, I can't remember how many millions did he end up raising to, I think, was it suicide prevention or something like that. So there's a lot of money to be made, and there are a lot of viewers out there who pay attention to Twitch, and it's so simple to do it even from your consoles. So this is not even like a case where you have to have a setup like a YouTube, like even this channel, right? This is just, you're playing a game and you can turn it on just like that.
You said I'm doing something wrong. Is that what you just said? No, we're just.
I'm saying this is more involved. This is more involved. You have a camera and everything. Yes, you can use a camera to do picture in Twitch, but you can just, right in the middle of your gaming session, you can just turn on Twitch and broadcast to the rest of the world. And it makes it a lot easier to get creators that don't need to even have the money.
You don't think Facebook will eventually be able to build the same infrastructure?
I think they will be. But I think at the end of the day, like, that's why they're getting into the markets, because this, like, the infrastructure that they need to build is not as cumbersome as a YouTube. This is already curated content, because except you have a specific game that is basically created for adults or specific markets, most games are pretty much known factors. So this is a really great, like, growing segment of the streaming market, and I think Facebook's they see the dollar signs.
I mean, I do like the strategy of them going first. I mean, starting off, like I've said it before, like, you know, when they were trying to attract YouTubers, at least started off with a small crew. You know, don't just open it up to everyone, because we all know how that is with YouTube already now. Is you gotta set your standards so that when people come in, then there's certain expectations, and also there's also certain expectations for revenue generation, so to speak. So, I mean, I do like that. It's something that, of course, was expected to see, because basically this battle is between the four biggest companies on the planet. You know, from Google, sorry, Alphabet. I forgot that's the name. Alphabet, Google, Amazon, and, you know, Microsoft. So, sorry, I had to say Microsoft. Facebook. Yeah, I said Microsoft real low there. Warren, what do you think?
I think most of it's been kind of said here. It's Facebook's getting into the game, and it's mostly live streaming more so than actual, like, post-production content that YouTube is essentially the star for. And with the focus on gaming is a pretty good idea, and it kind of in lines with a lot of things that Facebook's trying to do with Facebook Watch and things like that, and trying to get more live content on their site as the focal point. They want to sort of be the company that is the first place you think of when it comes to live interactive video as it's happening. So I think this is a good move for them to continue to go the push in that direction. And I think it competes more with Twitch, because I really think YouTube, outside of major companies streaming, using YouTube streaming platform for major things like a convention or a press event or a conference or something like that, they're not really the first place you think of for live streaming. That's really Twitch, and Twitch has really dominated that space and still dominates that space, especially in gaming. And while YouTube has done its thing with YouTube gaming, I think in some sense, I think they've started to kind of realize that they're not really getting anywhere there. So because it seems like they've scaled back the push of gaming so much, and I kind of went into a sort of another topic there, but I think Facebook taking on Twitch in this aspect is going to be a good battle between the two of them to see who dominates that platform. I just really think YouTube's not going to play a factor in that much at all, because they just don't have, they're just not thought of as a live streaming platform on the scale that the other platforms are. And it's also not as easy to do. Everyone else has an app that's built into either a piece of software or into a console to instantly connect and go. And YouTube doesn't quite do that yet. And
would it be so difficult, since YouTube is basically on every single platform out there right now?
Yeah, no,
It's
all
not
logic
difficult.
says they should be able to do it. It's not difficult at all. I mean, the reality is like the actually I could do it. You can technically do it with the PlayStation 4, but they're like the only ones that have, and I think PlayStation built that app and
Yeah,
built that up
Sam,
and
Sam,
built
put
the
it this way.
API to
Remember
push
the
that out.
Galaxy S6 launch, where
Mhm.
Samsung introduced
Oh
live
God, I
streaming,
remember.
and Samsung said all you had to do was just go and hit live. They forgot to tell us
Yeah.
that the back end that Google helped them put in included Google. What's the social network again?
Google Plus.
Google Plus.
Yes.
You
Plus.
forgot the word plus.
How, Sway? How?
Because nobody uses Google Plus anymore.
Do you do the tech? Are you in the tech?
He's on the tech.
I am on.
He's on
Nobody
the
uses
tech,
Google
okay.
Plus
There's
anymore.
no excuse for that. No.
Crap. I'm sorry. But anyway, that was bad implementation there, right there. Something that where it should have been easy to just go hit live and go live. I mean, I did one live show and it went nowhere. Nobody saw it. And I realized that Google created a separate account for me underneath that had. I was like,
Yeah, the implementation.
I still
was
have.
forward.
I think I still have like 5 different Google Plus accounts that none of them really point to what I make. I have to manually go in and
Google Plus was
aim
the
content where it's supposed to go.
Debacle. It was a bad debacle, and then the whole
It could have been awesome, but they made it way too complicated.
No, they tried to fuel the adoption of Google Plus using their YouTube the YouTube fan base, and that just totally pissed everyone off.
They forced it. They forced it on people so heavily.
Yeah,
but instead of actually just streamlining, because it could have just been the YouTube arm of their social media, right? Yeah. So you have a YouTube account, and then when you sign into Google Plus, your YouTube account just shows up. The way that they tried to combine things, and then you still, more often than not, would end up creating a new account, even if you already had YouTube credentials, is like way overcomplicated and what gummed up the works. The commenting system also was a clusterfuck of epic proportions.
Oh my god! Oh my god! There's so much.
Yeah, that was really just a bad.
Oh, that was a painful error.
And they paid for it, man. They paid for it. They paid for that essentially that basically ruined any opportunities for them in terms of any type of getting any social networking footing at all across Google. They just have no way of getting into that, and I think that also hurt them because they were doing it at the time where game streaming was getting big. And this is where your Twitch took over.
Yeah, that would have been a good time to kind of launch game streaming and have a community-based social network around it.
Mm-hmm.
And we wonder why they're trying to be Netflix now.
You said that so quietly, though. You're like, hey, you wonder why they're trying to be Netflix now.
The thing they have to realize is Google, like, not to harp on the Google thing or the YouTube thing so much.
Hey, look, remember, this is usually Microsoft, so go ahead.
So Alphabet or Google or YouTube has to realize that they already have a social network. It's called YouTube. Okay, that's where everyone goes to watch their videos and a lot of.
But here's the problem with YouTube, and I'll give you this.
But the interaction is
poor.
Exactly.
So now they have YouTube Community, which I didn't even know. I mean, I knew they had it on beta for a long time.
Oh, they sent emails on that, but I'm so trained to ignore any new feature that they add. If that's it's gonna break, it's gonna be bad and not work the way it's supposed to.
The funny thing is, Community works. And I was talking to Andrew and a few other people at CES, and they're like, "Oh, they do that to refresh new content. Old content, especially stuff that maybe people might have missed if they've got a lot of videos, like during CES or something like that. And say, hey, go back and check this out." The problem is that community section is nowhere related to anything that on the homepage or even per video. So there's no direct linkage there. So like sometimes you post stuff there and Alexa, stop. you will post something on the community.
Why did that just feel like you were gonna hit Alexa? Like, Alexa, stop.
Because I didn't say the word.
Oh boy.
So when you put something in the community page, it is no correlation there, or you can't actually
and it's a pain to get to. Like to actually get there, I have to go to my own page and then go to my own channel and then go to the community tab.
It's
like,
not even on the drop down, like, you know, at the corner where you have the drop down menu. You should just
Right.
have community there, and you don't have it on the mobile app. It's I mean you have it on the mobile YouTube app, but not the creator app. So again, like, you know, it's just one of those things that
Community.
yeah, I don't, you know, yeah.
And who knows how many people, how much is this getting to anyone, anyways?
Yeah.
Is it even reaching all your subscribers?
You know, it does. It goes out as a notification. That's why it's been building up, because
Well, that means they have to have notifications turned on, but then they even nerf their own notifications.
yeah. I mean, they nerfed that, but which is why, you know, we always have to remind people with every video.
you just announced it on Twitter. That all this is like, we're trying to take away what you were already doing on Twitter, so do it in a community.
Yeah,
No.
It's funny how like YouTube has helped Twitter in such a interesting way. Like we all
Very indirect way.
Like we can't, like people can't get our videos, so I'm just going to go to Twitter, even though I have less subscribers there, just for them to say, "Hey guys, I got a new video.
We're doing stuff now." But doesn't this kind of vibe with who I can't remember the name of the engineer. There was the Google engineer that came out with like a story. A former Google engineer left the company, who was talking all about how the corporate culture at Google right now is really scattered, and all they seem to be doing is reacting to other moves that their competition are making. Like they don't have a cohesive vision. They don't have a plan for the future. It really is just this herd of cats that see, oh, they're doing something cool, let's do something like it. And then a couple months later, they're going to scrap it because it doesn't really work, or it doesn't really, you know, fight the competition, or doesn't do anything better. And that's why we have this mess with messaging platforms. Completely addresses why YouTube has been so difficult to work with lately, that they're not really looking at how they can improve the platform. They're just randomly stapling things to it right now because it's not really a core focus.
Oh, it's Microsoft 10, 15 years ago. I mean, you know, as much as we rely on Microsoft, like now at least Microsoft has, to his credit, he has one focus. It's like cloud, and let's just call it a day, right?
Yeah,
as opposed to Google is doing everything. And you're right. You think about Google services, and I saw an image from Android, either Android Authority or Android Central, of Google Pay.
Right.
We have Android Pay already, right?
Aren't they just rebranding that? Aren't they just rebranding?
What about
even if
you love Google Wallet?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is it rebranding Android Pay, or is it rebranding Google Wallet?
Yeah, they're combining the two.
Yeah, you know.
Well, you know, but no. Safely enough, thank God they're doing that. They're actually merging two things together to say Google Pay, which makes a lot more sense, because now you can stream it to your phone, stream it to your speaker, whatever else like that, and it's really easy to say, do you use Samsung Pay, do you use Apple Pay, or do you use Google Pay?
No, I mean on the branded side of thing that makes sense, but it's funny. It was Android Authority, because he posted it, and I was like, sigh, and he's like, and he just went, please Samsung, license your thing out to everybody, and let's just.
You really should. That like I've said that before too. They really need to license that to everyone.
Yeah, call it a day. I would gladly use Samsung Pay everywhere and be like, forget you, man. Because
I get it. It's a very differentiating buy-in for them to use Samsung devices, and that may open up to other people using other devices. But I think they make that up in licensing in general, because everyone would take it on, except for LG. But everyone would take it on.
Actually, I think LG would be a prime candidate right now for picking.
They should be a prime candidate.
They struggled so hard with all of their own individual. They wanted to come out.
But we're talking about.
I can see that conversation right in Korea.
We're talking about logic here, and they haven't thought on a lot of logic.
See, it's a little different though. Big brother comes up with little brother in Korea. It's like, yo, I know you're going through some tough times. I'm gonna help you out. Just call it Samsung Pay and be done with it. It's okay, and we'll help you.
Because they tried to do an LG Pay and it failed.
Yeah, there's a car. There's so many different things they tried. So no, but you're right with Google and not being able to just concentrate and say, okay, how do we put all our services together? Because this is a company that has a bunch of services. You know, we have no clear messaging path, and it rightfully so. This is why iPhone users make fun of Android, right? Just on messaging alone, you're like,
messaging is the big.
You're like, I can't use any of your stuff because it's all over the place. So we tell them to use what? Yeah. WhatsApp.
Yeah, but here's the thing: no one changed anything. We all just stick to using Hangouts. No one did anything else.
Oh no, actually, most of my family is now switching over to Skype. They want a universal cross-platform messaging.
Yeah, I'm using WhatsApp more now for people even in the US, just because I have iPhone users and other things. Because it's it's because Google just hasn't done a good job.
Facebook won the messaging wars,
and then there's Facebook, right? And then Facebook does full image transfers as well too.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing where it's like Google, you have a platform, you have all these things like. I was hoping that when they released the Pixel was when they started bringing all these things together and not create Allo and Duo in the process.
I think here's our gripe with Hangouts, and it isn't because we can just go and use something else. The thing is, if it wasn't in our industry such a standard everyone uses to communicate with each other, we all would have left a long time ago, and this thing would have been dead on the water, and none of us would be talking about it. But because we use Google Hangouts so much in terms of communicating with everyone in the tech space, because it's kind of the easiest one just to kind of get on and just go and speak on, and you really just need an email address, not more than that. That's reason why I think it's still around and exists, and we still talk about it, and we talk about it negatively, but we also talk about wishing and wanting it to be better, so that experience can be somewhat better. The reality is, if Facebook Messenger was just as simple to do, we all would have switched to it probably by now. I mean, look at our CES chat group. It was mostly in Facebook. Outside mainly for the group chat during that time, and Hangouts was the other thing. For those that may not be Facebook friends or whatever the case may be, because Facebook has its own weird way of doing accounts and stuff like that, and that stigma of having to have a Facebook account to relate to do anything. I don't think you need that for Messenger. I think you can just use a phone number, but at the same time, it just kind of makes it. They have a message about their messenger that they have to sort of correct, but It literally exists. And the same thing with this Hangouts on Air thing. It literally exists because people in the tech space still freaking use it, and because there's nothing else for us to use. Yeah. Listen, ICQ came out, and I looked at that and I said, "My God, maybe we just changed this. Maybe it's throwback time." It like you seen the new ICQ. It just looks just like WhatsApp, and I'm like, maybe it's throwback time.
No, I mean, my problem with Hangouts is what they did to it, because there were pockets in times where Hangouts was on point, and Google, what was it before Hangouts? It was called Google Talk, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, there were times where I was like, man, this thing is functioning perfectly, and they're going to bring all these new features, and then, oh, Jesus Christ, they broke it. That's what they've done consistently. Instead of fixing it, they go, let's just write another line of code, another software program, and call it a day.
Right, because everything that they're doing with Allo and Duo could have been incorporated into Hangouts.
No,
everything. And they could have also, like, in terms of branding exercises, they could have done what they said they were going to do in making Hangouts the more corporate like
Slack. Yeah, I was about to bring that up.
And you could have had a Hangouts, a general consumer Hangouts, and a Hangouts Pro. And this notion that I need two separate apps for communicating is again entirely reductive after we already had Hangouts, and Hangouts was going in a direction we all liked. It just needed some updating and some more polish. This is clown shoes to reinvent the wheel.
You're right. I don't get that. It's like, to me, what they should have done is, you build Allo and Duo just into one app, call it Hangouts regular, and call the other one Hangouts Pro, and say, download the new Hangouts, and you're done. Simple.
And then there are people like us who would have entertained a licensing deal, or maybe buying a Hangouts Pro to be a part of whatever future machinations they had for business grade communications.
If it worked and worked well, and we all started communicating on it, everyone would say, "All right, I'll just pay my license, and this is how we all talk."
You pay the monthly fee, right? And then you're done.
Well, none of us would have thought of it. Nobody in the tech space would have even made it a second thought. It'd be like, well, this is the standard everyone uses, and it seems like everyone's on this, so let's just use this here, and that would have been it. But they are just so against doing any of that I think they're going to lose a war that they were technically winning in messaging, because everyone's using Google Talk and Hangouts pretty.
I think Google is setting themselves up to lose a number of really significant battles in the services space right now. Google should be leading the way in cloud. Amazon's eating them for breakfast there. I mean, it's not even a competition.
It's not even that. Amazon already ate everyone for breakfast. They're on lunch.
Amazon ate it.
Microsoft is coming back. Microsoft is at least getting brunch. Okay. I'm telling you, in this space, Microsoft is getting some brunch out there, along with Alibaba and Rackspace and the rest of those.
Microsoft has what, Saturday and Sunday, and then
yeah,
and the Amazon is just rolling through the whole week.
Google's got that Wednesday night dev slot. That's just all that they have with the thing. It's there. The funny thing is the platform's actually kind of good and a little simpler to understand in some cases, but they're just not. And they have it there. It makes sense to use, but no, they're not.
We'll see. I just was looking at some news here, rumors that Apple will have 3 iPhones, 2 OLED this year and 1 LCD. With the third iPhone, the LCD iPhone, spotting at 6.1 inches, expected to become Apple's entry-level model of 2018, and the starting price at $700 for entry level.
Yeah, like that. That's the rumor. The excitement there was for missing. The iPhone SE.
Okay, guys, can you just again, if I say the line again, please just show some more excitement,
No, I don't want to go back. I just want to jump in and talk about it. No, please don't make me act. The funny thing is a lot of this is also caught up in. We saw all those editorials and pundits talking about the death of the iPhone X. And this is one thing that I hope over 2018 we can all get the F over, is how obsessed we are with names. Like, for all the people who were viscerally upset in the comments on the videos we did for the iPhone 8. Oh, it's not really an iPhone 8. It's really an iPhone 7S. And that's funny, but you seem actually angry that, Apple broke their TikTok strategy with the iPhone 6 and 6S. That's gone now. We shouldn't be this upset about what the next phone is called. And that's literally all this will be, is a branding exercise. If there's no iPhone X2, iPhone 11, iPhone XI, none of that matters. That's really the least important aspect of how all these things are coming down. So it doesn't mean anything if the iPhone 10 is dead, or they're gonna not iterate on that exact design, because we know what their future strategy is for phones. It's just, again, it is disappointing if that's the iPhone SE2 starting at $700. That's not a world I want to live in. I really don't want that to be a significant trend. I love my iPhone SE, and I love that right now you can get it for what, $399, $350, something like that. That to me is a great entry level strategy. I want them to iterate on that, especially for more developing markets and emergent LTE markets.
Sam, mute.
I'll mute myself. All right. I'm not an Apple product user. I have an iPad, and I only.
But you used to back in the day, a long time ago.
Yeah, back in the day, a long time ago. And I think, like Juan said, the SC was always a cheaper alternative to the mainline iPhone. S's and the new released iPhone, whatever the main line would be. But now it's at $700. That's actually a little bit of I don't know. It's a little bit of a sticker shock, even for me. This is supposed to be your cheaper phone, so why does it cost so much? And with the whole iPhone X thing being dead, it was an anniversary thing. They did this for Apple's iPhone anniversary. So why would you think they will continue with this design? It just doesn't make sense. It's a one-off. So
what are they complaining about? I might have missed that part.
You know what Apple should have been. I mean, to me, I'm not, because it's not time yet, but Apple really should just release iPhone SE at $500.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Just tell OnePlus and all those people who not that that's the same market or the same people, but it's just saying that we have a $500 phone. Everybody's been told.
And it doesn't need to be anything fancy. It doesn't. Seriously.
I wish they just keep the iPhone 5 form factor and just give me a new chipset. Just keep doing that. And I know a small but not insignificant chunk of the market who would love that.
Because this is how everyone else does $500 cell phones. This is how Apple does $500 cell phones. And Apple wins that fight. End of story.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. No.
What did I miss? I'm not. Hold on. I'm trying to figure out half of it. This wasn't even on the damn copy.
No. We've already run through most of them.
We've gone through all the copy stuff, man.
But what was the talk about iPhone 10X not happening? What?
Yeah, because
I bet if the iPhone 10 had outsold
So
the
are they
iPhone
making an
8 by a
iPhone 10 or are they
significant
making an
margin,
iPhone 9?
the
then
iPhone
we would see
X,
Apple
10
continuing with this as a branding
going away,
exercise,
so to speak. It's a one-off.
I think they're saying it's a one-off now because it did not outsell the iPhone 8 by a significant margin.
I don't
If it
think
had,
but
I bet
that
they
was
would have been
kind of
like,
the-
"Oh, here's
was
the
kind of
iPhone
the-
XI."
That's kind of the begin. That was kind of from the start. They kind of said
it was an anniversary edition.
they were just making a specific iPhone anniversary
No.
thing. They weren't sticking to
You
it.
guys are missing my point. This is the Apple reality field that they create around themselves. They get the safety of saying we're doing the equivalent of an Apple Watch edition with the 10th anniversary of the iPhone. What I'm saying is if that phone had outsold the iPhone 8 by a significant margin, then they just would have piggybacked on that for future iPhone iterations. Again, that's why I had my whole preface with why are people so pissed off about what phones are called? That's exactly what Apple set themselves up for as a buffer. If this iPhone doesn't outsell the iPhone 8 by a significant margin, it's just a one-off. It was our celebration of the anniversary. And now here's the iPhone 9, and it's essentially, just like a slightly watered down version of what we had for the iPhone 10.
But didn't they sit there and say that the iPhone 9 was still going to exist?
No,
Wasn't that
they didn't specifically mention
that was kind of already out there that there was gonna be a 9. Like I remember last year hearing that there was gonna be a 9.
We just don't know what it's going to be called. You're right. It is the iPhone 9 if we follow the continuation of what the iPhone 8 was. But again, the name literally doesn't matter because Apple has a branding problem. They have 8 current models of iPhone available for sale, and they need to get that whittled down.
Yep.
So whatever it's called, it could be called, iPhone 2018, the iPhone, like they tried to do with iPads. It could be the iPhone 11. The name is literally the least important part of what
that's probably what they're going to call it. They'll just call it iPhone 11. It'll be with a Roman numeral, X and then I. And there you go.
And see, there it is. There's proof. The iPhone 10 was a failure. The iPhone 10 is dead because they have now the iPhone XI. See, they killed the iPhone 10. They killed it.
Yeah, maybe okay.
Totally different, Sam. It has a different name. There's a whole extra letter at the end of the name.
Let's give someone the benefit of the doubt here. Maybe they thought this was a new line from Apple, like the X line. I don't know. I'm just trying to think in my head why anyone would think that the X really mattered, like going forward.
Well, I don't even think we need to give them the benefit of the doubt. It's $1,000 phone, and people like to have some sense of continuity. And again, I think we can all. I seriously believe this. I don't understand why this would be a controversial statement. If the iPhone 10 had blown away the iPhone 8 in terms of sales, that would have been the line. That would have been the future line from Apple. The fact that it was just sort of in the mix, that it kind of outsold the Plus, got beat by the smaller iPhone 8. That's where we see Apple redirect their energies in terms of branding, not necessarily in building different phones, but they're going to take some of the things that worked in the iPhone 10. They're going to return to some of the cost-saving measures of the iPhone 8, and we're going to get some amalgamation of the two built into a big little device and then a cheaper phone, at $700 for the 2018 lineup. And that's where we get 3 models, big, little, and Tree, I guess.
That's going to be a bad idea for them to make 3 phones.
I mean, but again, what are people going to do? Someone's going to grumble about it, but then they're going to go, well, I guess I still have to buy Apple, though.
How about they just not make cheap phones? They don't have to be in that market. It's
no,
not
but the SE has proved very lucrative for them.
Okay, then just continue making that and pretending that it doesn't exist for the rest of the masses. Just continue to do it once, and continue making that thing, and then go make new phones.
I know, which is what they're going to do. The problem is the price point for the SE does not really hit what the SE is supposed to be. At $700 instead of $500.
Yeah, but the thing is that this third device shouldn't exist. Like the one that they're making here is a bad idea.
Well, they're also kind of torn on they need to demonstrate that they're a premium brand. So the iPhone SE, in the way that it's continuing, especially having the iPhone SE and the 6S still kicking around, that looks like a flea market for Apple. That looks not like they're. No, I'm serious. So much of smartphone computing right now is built on desirability and lifestyle emotional purchases. And Apple looks a little less desirable when you show the consumer rationally from the SE to the 10, how minor those stair steps are in terms of experience with $100 price tiers. Someone can look at that lineup and go, well, I don't need the 10, so let's look at the 8. But the 8 is so similar to the 7, and you know what? I can get the 6S as a bargain. You can tumble a good chunk of consumers down that hill just by showing them that lineup. That's the same thing that Wozniak was coming out and saying, like why he didn't opt for the iPhone 10 and why he was so critical of Apple's current iOS strategy.
But remember, they slow you down now, though. So I mean,
well, but that's also wrapped up in. No, I'm serious. Like you can start to have those conversations with your family and friends. Why is a premium smartphone purchase for a phone that's so expensive? Why are they only including the bare minimum battery capacity for a phone to make it through the day when it's brand new? That there is no buffer for that phone to age. And as that phone gets to around a year old, you're having conversations about that phone suddenly cutting out because the battery has degraded within the anticipated parameters of a lithium-ion battery. So you don't necessarily get better battery life out of an Android, but I've got Android phones that are 3 years old that don't just suddenly cut out. They had a bigger battery for a reason. That's you bought into a bigger battery for a reason. That is a terrible conversation to have when we're talking about products that sell brand new $700, $800, $900.
Sure. I had this rant a few weeks ago, so I'm just going to end it there.
Oh, we all had that rant. Oh, real quick, I was going to say, did you guys see the specs on the red hydrogen one?
Yeah, with the 835.
Yeah, 835, 5.7-inch screen with this new screen tech, and 4,500 milliamp hour battery.
Big battery.
Which after a year, I'm sure that phone will just randomly cut out and because
it's got a big battery.
We only put tiny batteries into phones.
I think they're expecting. They said June, right? Is when it might release.
I thought it was.
So I think pre-orders might start as early as April.
Okay.
I don't think we'll see. I don't think we'll see shipping product until.
And they're charging $3,000 for that thing, right?
No,
$1,200 to start.
1,200. Although
it's red, so I would imagine that a fully built red hydrogen one
$10K
could get you up to like a $10,000 price tag.
$10K, yeah.
I would suggest check out Danny Wingett's video when he comes up because I know you pre-ordered one. That's the only person I know who did.
No, yeah, because everyone made fun of him on Twitter for doing it. I remember when I pre-ordered
because they took his money immediately. He was
and everyone he's like,
whoa,
that stopped everyone else.
Yeah, because he posted it. And I remember Sam and I were having this discussion. I was like, Sam, should I pre-order or not? And Sam was like, maybe this might be a good one because you're like. And then I saw what Danny posted. I was like,
I was on for the go ahead and put some cash down.
And Danny's like, oh, they took my money already. It's like, I mean, usually it's when it ships, right?
Yeah, and they normally might say, okay, you have a down payment just to secure it. So I'm like, come on.
But what I found most insulting is when he put in the pre-order and then they actually played a sound clip of yoink as they pulled the money out of it. That's just unnecessary.
They're like, God is in.
God is in. No. I don't think did they actually have that sound? I'm pretty sure they didn't, but
no, they did not.
No, they didn't. I was being totes hilarious.
Yeah. No, they didn't. But yeah, anyway, guys.
The whole point of that thing would be what video do you record? I mean, that's just going to be its big thing. And God, it better be better. Like the thing is, if that thing doesn't come out swinging better than the V30, there's going to be problems.
Yeah. Because I think what got me so excited about 2017 was having specialist phones. Like, this phone is not intended for general consumers. It's not intended for a wide release. It's one of the reasons why it's going to be so expensive is because of the R&D on very specific pieces of tech. I want to see more companies absolutely nailing a product for a smaller demographic instead of everyone trying to play. We can make an all-rounder too.
So
you're not
I
going
don't
to
know why. My only thing is like I don't know why it. I get why pitching it as a phone is one thing, but I almost wouldn't pitch it as a phone. Like, just
yeah, but we've already known for the last few years that the most important camera you can have is the camera you have on you, and most people use their phone cameras these days. So
yeah, but
it makes sense that way.
But this isn't that's the only way they can pitch it. But like, this isn't really meant to be a phone. It just happens to be able to do that.
It's a content creation device.
Well, but and it's like, I don't even know that it'll be a proper content creation device as much as it will be
an extension,
a companion device.
Yeah.
You know, so not it better have amazing content creation capabilities, but then it has to somehow
I'm just gonna
fit into the Red ecosystem in a way that
I'm just gonna tell the Red folks out there, because I also think this might be a way for them pitching to get towards the content creators like in the YouTube space and stuff like that, and folks like us to try and get us into some type of entry level, but get into that space. You need to make sure when you get this device out that you get this out to like every YouTuber possible. Like, my thing is like, if I guess they're launching in the summer, but if they were launching later, it's like you need to make sure every nerd at CES has one of these things, and that's all you see them recording with.
See, my thing is, I wish they actually went with the 845, especially considering how I don't think it's going to come out in April. I think it's going to be slightly delayed a bit more. I think the 845, in terms of camera capabilities, is better suited for what they want to do, chipset wise. So, you know, hopefully they can do that. And it's one of those things that if it gets delayed anymore, if it goes past June, it should definitely not come out of the 835 processor. It just negates.
Yeah, but that's the problem. The R&D has been going on for a while. I would not be surprised if the R&D was going on while the 835 was probably still like a beta in beta hardware.
The 835. No, the 845 has been.
The 835 was really beta hardware, and then all of a sudden you're releasing it now with 845 coming out because they really can't change much.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's a problem you're going to face. It's if it goes past June. I'm just saying that if there's any delay, then you just screwed.
Well, I think
of mindset.
So I think what Warren is saying is this is really not a phone per se. It's a content creation device, right? And I think it's going to be more of the modules. So the chip inside the device is not going to be as important as all the modules you can get for it. So we'll see how it turns out. But I don't think
AKA a selfie stick.
Well, no, I think there's potential though. I mean, imagine having, you know, what we always dreamed with Moto. Like, if they can come out with a 1-inch camera sensor or an interchangeable lens system, or
I'm telling you, if they get this thing to Justine and her fan base and they're all using the camera, the first thing that they'll sell is a $100 selfie stick.
Yeah, but you know, tying that into an ecosystem where they could have rails, battery packs, gimbals, and even just interchangeable lenses. Like real first party, like what I wanted Samsung to do. Remember when the S7 had that crazy lens case that never went anywhere? You know, Red could do that legit, you know, or, you know, give us a sort of a dock system. Have you seen those like for mirrorless camera systems? It's like a cradle that just has tripod sized threads all over it, like Lego style. So you can attach anything you want anywhere. Oh, wow. Build a system like that for a phone, and you can turn a phone into a legit. I mean, that's kind of what I did for CES. I did everything on the V30, but I had to make my own rig for it. If Red is able to do that while giving us some options to augment the camera on board, that instantly puts it up in a position or a tier that no current smartphone manufacturer has.
I was going to say, Warren, don't dog selfie sticks. There's
no, I don't dog selfie sticks. I understand, but that's going to be the #1 selling item.
I know, but I'm just saying, there's a Japanese reporter. We met her at CES towards the end of the show. She had the most awesome selfie stick ever. It was selfie stick that had a microphone attachment that was Bluetooth, And then she had this massive lens, and she just like, she showed us on Instagram. She's like, this is how I do all my reporting. And it's like, I'm basically standing there with the mic's like talking, and she has an the Oppo selfie camera.
Yeah.
Phone, yeah, with massive just ring light she attaches. I was like,
who's this?
I can't remember her name.
How much weight can that stick handle? That's amazing.
I mean, she's just holding it like this, but all you see is her hand holding the microphone. So it just looks like she's reporting. Like,
she's a network of one.
Yeah, and the cool thing is
cameraman, everything.
So I think she's freelance. So she goes different station. Different station. I was like, okay.
Every booth she rolls up to, she does 5 videos, and that girl gets paid. No, I mean, because like that mentality sort of taken out to its extreme. If someone comes out with like a great $100 rig for that, I put in my pre-order for the Osmo Mobile 2.
Is that real?
Like $130, man. I'm silly excited for $150 gimbals.
Sam, is that real or?
Yeah, that's the one. MKBHD showed that out like a few months ago, I think.
Oh,
the prototype of the thing.
Yeah, with
the camera.
It's the pro. Yeah, the prototype came out a while ago.
It's not. It's not a production model. The module. The camera module. It's not production, but yeah, it's.
Yeah.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
It'll be a lot better than the Hasselblad Moto Mod.
Yeah.
Listen, all that's happening is he's formulating, how do I attach this to Daniel? How do I attach this to Daniel?
That is not true. Daniel, if you're watching, that is all lies.
That is not a lie, Daniel. No, it isn't. And you know what? We need to get him to create the Booredatwork selfie stick, because he has like the awesome selfie stick power. Like the one he had for the RX100.
Let me tell you what it is. We're preparing for CES. I was like, Daniel, what should I bring? I was like, I'm gonna bring my camera. He's like, really? Are you going to use it? I was like, no. It's like, then just leave it at home. Because he's better. That's just
clearly by a lot.
Anyway, guys, I think we've come to the end of the show. Even though we had few topics, thank you everyone for joining us. In the chat, any questions there? I know I wasn't paying a lot of attention to chat.
Yeah, I was trying to peek in on the chat too, but yeah, and I wasn't able to pull anything directly out. Although Fat Produce agrees with me that gimbals will replace selfie sticks as they get cheaper.
Yeah,
I am silly excited.
Video.
Super. Yeah, I am silly excited to be trying out Osmo Mobile 2.
So. When's the Mobile 2 coming out? I need to pick one up.
Pre-orders went up the beginning of this week, and I think they're going to be shipping the end of February.
Awesome.
Shit! I logged
ETA March 2018. So we'll see.
Okay. All right.
FAQs.
Cool. All right, guys. We've come to the part of the show where we tell you what we currently have on our channels and what we can expect next week. So we're going to start off with Mr. Warren Bowman, who just said, "Ouch."
Yeah, I feel like I just got bit by something.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on. I'll just say stuff and figure out what the hell just bit me.
I mean, do you have some unknown pets in your place, man?
No.
Okay. Juan, what can we expect?
I mean, as much as I want to talk about what I've got going on, I want to know what's up with like Warren's rodent infestation over there. It seems kind of filthy. Okay, so seriously, we had another episode of Newegg Now. This week they actually let me talk about audio, so recording, podcasting. We had some deals on blue microphones, but I got to do a whole segment just talking about setup and philosophy for how you can make your home recording better. For some gadget guy, I am going to be launching my Patreon next week. So I'm going to whore myself out there and say you should check that out. There are going to be a couple people over the weekend who are going to be getting previews of that. And then I'm hoping to go live Monday or Tuesday. And then also, I mean, it's super, super silly, but I did get the new Wacom Bamboo Universal Stylus. And I think this will be the first review I do post Patreon. So we'll do like preview videos of this and a full review of just using a Universal Stylus. coming up with some really fun stuff, and hopefully getting back to some hardcore podcasting production, doing some field trips. I might try and grab Josh Vergara and go hit the Peterson Auto Museum with a bunch of gimbals and phones and stuff, and being two douchebag dudes checking out some cool cars. So all of that's coming up next week.
But the question will be for that: what will the hairstyles be?
Yeah, well, and I'm trying to get my psoriasis is kind of in check, so I might go hatless. We'll see, because Josh has got really cool hair. So I'm gonna try and match him. We'll see. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, again, this is all
Hair
kind of
metal.
dependent too on having a decent Patreon launch. I need your help. So we're gonna say
The Patreon is for Juan's hairdo.
yeah, the Patreon is, he's got to get plugs. He's got to get some Rogaine up in that bitch. He's got to fix his psoriasis, man. This is
You should send old pictures of your vidmes and stuff with the long hair.
even the Mona Lisa is falling apart, man. You know, like it takes a lot. It takes a lot to make this look okay. So hopefully we can make that happen.
All right, cool. On our end, we have 4 videos this week. We dropped our best TVs of CES, so definitely check that out if you want to see TVs that are coming out this year, from rollable OLEDs to 8K displays and micro LEDs and all that fun stuff, and also cost-effective TVs as well. Our first episode of Superhero Hour was up on Monday. Check it out. I will also be joining our podcasting versions on Google Play and iTunes. We went back to check out the Norton Core. So this is a sponsored video, but this is very interesting and different. The company wanted us to take a look at their products over a set period of time. So this is 3 months in, checking it out, how we've used it, all that kind of stuff. We did our review of the Blue R2 Plus, a budget phone of $129. It's got a dual camera setup. Oh, sorry, it doesn't have a dual camera setup. That's a different phone in my head. Oh, God. Have mercy. It's got a decent camera, sorry, actually, for a $129 phone. It actually takes some decent low light photos too. So if you want a very cheap phone that can take some solid photos, this is the phone for you. And finally, we got the Dragon Ball Fighter Z kit in. Did an unboxing, some cool stuff. I want to thank Bandai and Microsoft for sending that over. That was unexpected, so I was happy to wake up to get something, even though I wasn't happy to walk down my staircase and walk back up. But yeah, that's a whole different story. My elevator is out, and my elevator is going to be out for like 2 months. So
yeah, I'm not coming over.
Get that fitness in. Get that fitness in.
Yeah,
Sam, I'm staying with you.
Just so you guys know, it's only 5 flights. Only 5 flights.
It's more than 5 flights. Okay,
Sam, I'm staying with you.
It's more than 5 flights of stairs. My ceilings are 17 to 20 feet high. So
Excuses, man. Get that workout.
Ask Sam if he's come to visit.
No, I'm not running up those stairs.
Exactly. So anyway, check that out. Next week, actually, we'll just have stuff. I am doing next week, though. Stay tuned. I will be dropping my video on the Lumia 1020 versus the Pixel 2 XL. I've been taking some photos with it. I was inspired by Juan's video, and I figured I should use a better phone than the V30 to actually take pictures with.
Oh, burn LG burn.
I mean, it's better.
REKT lit. Oh, fire.
Oh wow! Stop.
Yeah, I wasn't getting anywhere.
No, it wasn't.
You're supposed to have like really, really bad music behind, like dun dun, 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 like a lot of bass, like LG burn.
So that video is going to drop on Thursday, so check that out. Other than that, though, thank you very much, everyone, for joining in, everyone in the chat, everyone who's listened to this on the podcast. We will have the podcast link for you guys, so definitely go ahead, subscribe on Google Play and also on iTunes. If you have any comments or you want to contribute, just drop them in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, definitely check out all the channels. You can check out Mr. Warren Bowman. He is at bw1.com. It is on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can follow him there. Check out all his content. And he's got some really good stuff. Next up is Mr. Juan Bagnell. He is at Some Gadget Guy on YouTube. also on Twitter. And also you can find him on Newegg channel. Newegg Now is the show on Thursdays at 12 noon. Oh, no, 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right?
We go live 10 a.m. Pacific.
Okay, I was close, but
you were right in. You were right in there.
Yeah, and that's live streamed on Facebook and on YouTube, so you can definitely check it out on the Newegg channels there as well. And Sam, his Twitter handle is @BlackIron_man. You can find him there, where he sends a lot of tweets that are basically, my tweets. But
exactly, I was like, where I send a lot of tweets. That's all you do.
Yeah. And of course, I am Thunder E Booredatwork, so you can find us on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook is Booredatwork, spelled with 2 O's if you're listening to this. But if you subscribe to the podcast, it will tell you right there. So this is Thunder E saying thank you very much, and always enjoy your entertainment.